everybody and welcome to Gemmaween 2020. Today we're going to head on down to the local cemetery because I've heard quite an interesting tale about an old grave that's there. So Edward Langtry was originally from Ireland and he married a lady called Lily Langtry who was actually named. She was a famous actress. She became an actress after she separated from Edward Langtry. But she was known in the local press and was quite an it girl of her time. A very beautiful woman that attracted the attention of a lot of wealthy and noble gentlemen. So Edward was born in 1847 and he married Lily Langtry in 1874. She eventually filed for a divorce in America. She went over to America to become an actress and filed for a divorce in California, but I don't think the divorce was ever made legal over in Britain, so she could never marry again, and that's like a key aspect to this story. So in 1897, not only did they separate, Edward also died of a brain hemorrhage and actually ended up in a Chester cemetery, which is quite an interesting story really, because he was travelling by boat in Belfast, I think it was, over to England. So he was travelling, he caught a train and then he was in Crewe train station. I think he booked into a hotel, but they found him to be like really unruly and what I believe to be confused maybe, and they called the police and he was found. No, they didn't. They took him to the local train station to sort of make his way like on again, and the police picked him up and took him to Chester Asylum, where he remained for quite a short period of time really. He died like literally like a week later after being admitted into Chester Asylum. A little bit about Edward was written in Lily's biography. I'm just going to read what she wrote about him here. She often paints him in a negative light, referring to him as a colourless sportsman, a pudgy chap, his weak mouth overhung with a walrus moustache, and his conversation powers were limited. Determined on his own importance, he was weak and indolent, and also surprisingly shy, a meek, weak husband, and no money. So according to one of Edward's companions, he actually fell and hit his head while travelling on the Belfast ship, and he had quite a large wound to his head which was bleeding profusely and was looked after by the staff on the ship. Nobody thought anything else of it. I believe Edward probably had a concussion and was acting confused because obviously he'd had a bleed on the brain and later went on to have a brain hemorrhage. There was lots of rumours and there was even stories published in newspapers, even as far as the New York Times, which stated that Edward had either committed suicide due to his separation from the famous Lily Langtry, or he'd actually been killed by thugs that had been hired by Lily Langtry because she couldn't get married again because he had put a block on that. 3 times she'd filed for divorce and he'd denied her that divorce each time. So it's quite interesting to know what actually happened to Edward Langtry, and it's quite interesting that he ended up in Chester Cemetery and he didn't really have any links with Chester or any family there, and it's quite sad that he ended up all alone, far away from any family. I think he'd been made an orphan quite early on in his life, so he's had quite a sad life. So we're going to attempt to communicate with Edward and see if we can pick up any words in the spooky box. As always, listen closely, and you can sometimes hear a little bit better if you use your earphones, and let me know if you hear anything, if you hear any communication with anyone or Edward, because that's who we're like trying to communicate with here.
Oh God, yeah. Last time, yeah. And she's got that little thing on it, yeah, I saw that.
So I'm here today in Overley Cemetery in Chester, and we're just behind us there is this tomb. So we're just going to try and do a bit of a spirit box here. There's Mother over there in the background. She's watching God for people or ghosts. So we've got the spirit box on already. So should we ask some questions, see if there's anyone here? So I'm here today in Overley Cemetery looking for the husband of Lily Langtry. He was supposed to be buried here after an unknown death. Edward Langtry, are you here? We're looking for your grave, Edward, but I'm not able to find it yet. Is there any way you can point me in the right direction? I just heard like a knock sound then coming from somewhere. Or was it you? Are you here, Edward? Or is there any other spirits here that would like to communicate? If you're able to communicate, could you tell us what your name is? My name's Gemma. And this is Elizabeth. And we're just looking to communicate with some spirits to share with our viewers on the YouTube channel. But we're looking for Edward. I thought something like came into them trees, it was just a crow. Not sure if we're close enough to his grave really, because we don't really know where it is. Could you try and point us in the direction to your grave? I saw a crow flying over there. I wonder whether we should have a look. Is there any other spirits here that would like to communicate? I don't... So the crow flew over here when I said that. So we decided to have a little bit more of a look to see if we can find Edward's grave, and I've googled it and found a picture. So it looks as though it's, if you can see up there, there's like an embankment where the road is, and it looks as though it's like actually there. Not in here then, because there's some trees down.
But there is, we have got more to go around here, so it doesn't look to me like there's any in this one.
No. Let's look round then. And then we'll try the spooky box again. Yeah, I can really smell trees. I'm just celebrating because I haven't been able to smell like nature and things for ages because of the COVID, especially trees and like weather. I've come in here today, I can smell like wet pine smell. Like really strong. It's really strong actually, Mum. Oh, I think I found him.
Is it it?
Yeah, in memory of Edward Langtry.
Oh, we found him. Hold on. I've got that on film as well.
So it says Edward Langtry, born February 14th, 1846, died October the 15th, 1897.
Oh, and that's all he's got.
And that's all he's got. Should have bought him something really, shouldn't we?
Yeah, he's got a nice family next to him anyway, that's one thing.
Are we going to dare do it?
Yeah.
So, Edward Langtry, we finally found your grave here in Chester Overley Cemetery. I'm just wondering if you've got any messages. Edward Langtry, have you got any messages? Is there anything you'd like to say to anybody? It's taken us a while to find your gravestone. I've looked a few times. In the Chester Asylum, what happened to you? Did you fall and hit your head at the train station? Or did something else happen? And was there any ill feeling between you and Lily Langtry? Do you have anything to say about Lily Langtry? Is Edward Langtry here? What have you got to say about your death? Have you got anything to say about your death, Edward? Have you got anything to say about your death, Edward? Did you fall and hit your head, or was something more sinister happening?
So, Edward Langtry, in 1897, I believe you fell at Crewe Station, getting off a train and you fell. Did you hit your head? And then you were taken to Chester, to the asylum. Was it an asylum? It's a sad story.
We're going to go now, Edward, so we'll bid you farewell.
Goodbye, Edward.
But we'll come back and leave you something in one of your... Look at it in here. In memory of my husband, my dear husband. Do you think it's Edward's urn, or do you think it's just landed here?
Somebody else's. Who went first out of them? Eleanor went first. So it can't have been hers.
So it took us a while to find Edward, but we found him at last. And I'm going to head home now and see if I can review any of the footage that's come from the spirit box and see if we've got any communication with Edward. I'm not sure if the spirit boxes actually work in graveyards. I mean, I've seen other people using them. I sometimes think it's a little bit disrespectful, maybe, because it is like hollow ground, isn't it? But I don't know. But here's Edward's final resting place, right by the main road up there. I never knew he was here, and I walked past here all the time. And so he's surrounded by a lot of other people there. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoyed the footage from the graveyard and the communication we did with Edward Langtry. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow for another spooky video, and I will see you again real soon. Bye bye. The video is over. You can go now. Go home.